Hey YouTube, Marko with Marko's Garage, coming to you with my C50. And today's the day I've been waiting for, and you guys are probably waiting for it too. We're going to shorten the chassis. I know I talked about we're going to drill out the rivets and move all that kind of stuff forward. Is it to cut or not to cut? I'll tell you what, I've been thinking about it long and hard, and I just can't wait anymore. I got to get it done. I'm going to cut it. So to drill out some preliminary lines, doing some thinking, and I'm going to shorten it by cutting it. So first thing I got to do, take out the drive shaft and get the saws all out, move some brake lines, stuff like that. Come along for the ride. Let's get to it. Okay, the first thing I got to do is undo some bolts on the drive shaft. I have to undo steady bearing number 1, steady bearing number 2, and the U-bolts on the diff. Also, of course, the truck doesn't have e-brake on the wheels, it's on the drive shaft. So it's very important when you're doing a project like this, block your front wheels so for safety that the truck doesn't roll away on you when I cut it. Okay, so we got our drive shaft out. There was 4 bolts up there, 4 nuts I should say, 2 steady bearings, and the U-bolts on the rear end. This one here is being stubborn, so I'm going to have to use a puller and pull it, but I'm not going to worry about that right at the moment. We can do that later. My plan is, you can see here's the drive shaft. We got a long section here and a couple of shorter sections. So what my plan is to move this to be the first section of the drive shaft, so it'll have that flange on the end put onto this U-joint, and then this steady bearing will line up with steady bearing hanger in the truck. And then this drive shaft is 44.5 inches from center of the U-joint to center of the U-joint. So if I take out 44.5 inches on the chassis, that will give me exactly what I need to shorten it up, and that'll give me 55 inches from the back of this rivet here to where the diff line will be here. It'll should line up with the rear differential and the tires. So that's the plan. This way I don't have to get any custom drive shafts made, just to use what I have here. The next step in the process, I'm going to actually just take and sacrificially cut out this piece here, so I can take all my brake lines and all the pieces like the air lines, brake lines for the vacuum lines I should say, for the rear 2-speed rear end, and just bend everything in a U shape when I shorten it, so that I don't have to, I'll still have brakes when I weld it together, get the truck rolling, and then I can change the brake lines and shorten up the lines one at a time. So that's the plan. So first thing I'm going to do is get a Sawzall, cut out this piece so that I can move these lines out of the way. Okay, so what I did here was actually make 3 cuts. I cut here on the top, I cut through that member, and I cut over here. This allows me to knock this plate out and actually get rid of this cross member, so I can cut out one side of the frame rail at a time. There it goes. One of the things I've done is there's some factory holes in the chassis here, and they're the same on the other side. So that hole is that hole right there, be right in the middle. At the back I also have a guide hole here, which is, I got a factory drill hole on the other side, so you can see that they line up. Okay, and the idea is if I cut on the top here straight down to that hole and I go back 44.5, I can make my second cut, and then this will be whatever that ends up being there, and then I match the same cut here. Then when I weld them back together, when I come to a corner, I actually have a hole here instead of trying to get a corner together where you can create like a stress crack. So I'm thinking that's the way I'm going to do it. I've been thinking about it long and hard, and so I'm just going to go for it. One of the things I just noticed, I could use this back hole here. If I use this rear hole, I have less of a direction this way. I don't need a big long 13-inch cut. All I need is to go back that far. So I'm just going to make a couple measurements and decide, and also it'll keep my number in the frame too, which will kind of be neat. So let's let me think about that. Okay, so if these calculations are correct, we got about an 8.5 inch Z cut kind of thing into the chassis, and that's going to be enough I don't think we need to go. The one before, if I use the first hole, will take me like 13.5 inches, and I think less is more in a sense. Less cutting, so, and it'll be strong enough, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cut on the second hole here, which lines up with that hole there. Maybe you see it'll line up with that hole there, and then make that cut down. So I'm going to start by cutting this one first, and I'm going to chalk it out and follow it the best I can with the Sawzall to that hole. Okay, so I had to bring out the plasma cutter. I started with a Sawzall, and that didn't get very far. So here we go. I got one frame rail cut out, as you can see. And I'm just going to take the grinder and clean up the flash, and on that, clean it up, put a little bit of a bevel for the weld, and then all my lines, when I suck this together, will bend inward, and I can fix the lines afterwards, because the truck has brakes and everything this way. When I put it together, it still all works. And I'll just address those things one thing at a time afterwards. So one side done, one side to go. Alright, there you have it. Section's missing both sides. I'm just going to take my grinder and clean up the edges, tack weld in place. We'll do some cross measuring on the rivets to make sure that all our stuff is straight, weld it together. Okay, so I discovered that these lines that run the split differential have a rust hole in it. They're going to be replaced anyway, but that explains maybe why it doesn't idle so well. Sometimes you get a little bit of a, sounds like a vacuum leak, and it's definitely coming from there. So I just decided to hack these lines out. It's one less to worry about. The brake line still holds brake fluid, and I'll push that over, and then I'll repair all this stuff tomorrow. Re-bend into this. Definitely somehow got shorted here. I'll cut that one too short, and this one is a bit long. That could be my problem. See, if I take a little bit off of this, yeah, it'll be a little bit better. Yeah,
it looks like where the problem was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here it is next morning. I packed up everything last night. I just got it tacked together. So I got to weld that up today. First thing I do though, I need to get a drive shaft in so I can move the truck and get it to a location where I can plug in my welder and get better power. Sorry about the shadowing here. So moving on, we got to do the drive shaft. So here you go. I got the front section and the rear section and the middle section, and what I'm going to do is install this front drive shaft back where it was, take the yoke off this end, put it onto the splines, and then that becomes my drive shaft to go to the rear end. Also got some new parts. I got some vacuum line for that 2-speed rear end. I got some new line where you saw it was rusted through there, and the U-joints were in good shape. I'm just going to grease them up, but I did pick up new U-bolts. They're the straps that U-joint straps. So I got a new set of those for the diff, and also a new set for the drive shaft that comes. I got each 4 of them. So okay, so even though I'm reusing the old U-joints and they're in good shape, I'm still going to hit them with the grease gun. There we go, all greased. U-joints in good shape. Put it back together. Oh, I got the drive shaft in there, and there's the slip splines, and then I took off the steady bearing that was on for the second drive shaft. It's connected up. I got the frame tacked up, so I'm going to try and move it over closer to the welder here. So it's about to go and see if it'll move here under its own power. It should. As you can see on the brake line, I just bent it just for now, so it still has brakes, and then I'm going to put a new brake line in. So I got to go pick that stuff up from the store, what I need, and alright, let's see if it moves. Alright, let's see if it works. Alright, well there you have it. Shortened up, we got some more welding to do, but I'll do some more tacking up and we'll keep going.
Can you do it without
Welding upside down. All right. Nobody likes to watch 15 minutes of, or 30 minutes of welding. It's just...
Unless you're one of those weird people. Good point.
Well, there you have it. It's welded. It's solid. And even with the tack welds, it over on the block okay. So we're going to wrap this up. Really, basically it's done. A couple shots of it all finished here, where it's at right at the moment. And then we're going to get it ready for the truck box. We're going to do some vacuum air line, shorten the brake line, and get this truck all ready. So until next time, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button and ring that bell. And have a great day.